Hey guys, welcome back to another rereading Lore Olympus episode. This is probably episode 5. And Fred's already angry. Probably didn't get his fishy crackers. That's a bit of a joke, but... Anyways, we're on episode 21. We're barely scratching the surface, guys. Barely. And we're already, part 5, I think? So I'm not going to read every piece of dialogue, but we will get into the story a bit. Sorry. I got, Fred in my lap right now, so just to prevent him from, barking a lot. So maybe this might be a short episode, and we'll have multiple more episodes in the future. I have no clue. I'm just seeing how well I can deal with this, because it is crazy. It is so freaking crazy, man. Anyways, let's get into it. So, oh gosh. Alright, so, we have Hermes and Apollo, and we're in, the back seat of the car, which isn't a bad way to start, since I do, feeling like we're in the comic. The only complaint I have is, Apollo, hand. What's going on with his hand? And look, the sudden freaking color change. Look. Grape purple? What kind of purple is this? Sky purple? I don't know. They're waiting, and they're like... Again, even with the daylight on, this is the only good shot of an actual car kind of environment. The rest just feels like, does anyone remember watching Caillou and then noticing the fade in and fade out kind of thing? It works to some extent. The problem is the panels just kind of you have to choose to have a panel or you don't choose to have a panel. You can't have it both ways is what I'm trying to say. And of course the line art is sticking out of the panel here. But okay, I get it. It is Rachel's, first few pages. And of course, let's look at the steering wheel. Look at this, guys. Isn't this quality? Quality, right? Quality. It's come on, Rachel, there's so much you could do. Complete the line art, just make it stick out, thicken the lines even. It's not that hard. It's not that hard, okay? But let's continue. Okay, yeah, she lost her new roommate last night at a party. Remember, this is the day after the party. This is a day after all that. This is one day. One day that took 20 pages to get here. 20 pages, guys. 20 pages. I've seen plenty of webtoons that deliver one days through 3, 4 episodes, 5 even. But 20 episodes. I get that there's a different, there are some webtoons that can be all of this story takes place in one night. Yeah, sure, go for it. It's like those horror movies you watch. All of it took place in one night. Sure, go for it. But if your goal is to linger longer for each day and trying to make this last longer, there's got to be a line. Either you have time skips between days, so that way we take a breather, doesn't feel like everything's being shoved into our face that much, or you do it all in one day or within a week. Time skip wise, we don't need to see every fucking second, okay? That's my advice to anyone who's starting a webtoon, webcomic, whatever, any kind of comic in general. Make it either you have that very short timeline, but even with webtoons that take like one nights for those horror kind of murder, like scary comics, even if those take one night, generally they try to stay under 100 episodes, or even hell, like 50 episodes, 20 episodes even, for like a mini series. We don't need every single freaking detail, okay? Like, there are some cases where you do need it, and there's some cases where you don't need it. It's like you gotta pick and choose. And this is just not one of them, okay? Of course, is it hard to do the line art? Look at this, guys. Look at this. I understand the hair being kind of blended off, but look at the fingers just going into his face, like merging right in. I get that it's like, some people are lazy about that. Sure, whatever. But I can't tell if the freaking fingers are melting into his face or if he just has a really thick, neck. It's it's kind of pathetic. This might end up being the thumbnail for this video. And of course, using the blurb when it's important. This isn't bad, you know. And how can Apollo not know who Persephone is? Like, you're literally the god who brings like sunlight sort of to daytime, and you go to the mortal realm plenty of times, like, Hermes. I know there's a difference between him and the like actual sun god in Greek mythology, but I'm just saying he does go to the mortal realm. He would probably know about Demeter and Persephone. Let's be real. Anyways, like, let's continue. And, he's like, oh, why didn't you tell me she was hot? And he's like, notice how it gets dark. Like, the consistency with that, it's like, it kind of gets dark for Hermes too, but I'm just like, the shading's just really annoying to me. Like, why not just, why am I trying to put logic in here? And of course, Apollo has to be all cool and shit. Like, I hate these cars. It just feels like it's a freaking traced over piece of shit. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for anyone who actually traces, vehicles for some, illustrations to kind of get a grasp at it. But for a comic, like, let's say you're trying your best to improve on, drawing a vehicle. At least try and keep the colors where they need to be. And not the stupid experimental bullshit of, oh yes, this, the colors need to blur all out of the outlines. And I get this is like like, outlines aren't that important, but it just, some of the cases, it just doesn't look like a freaking vehicle. Look at some of the details. Like, does anyone really want to ride that? Like, if I saw this in a freaking parking lot, I'm ditching it. I'm ditching it. I'm sorry, I'm ditching it. And of course, Hermes being there and sliding over that, and he's just like trying to make a joke at that and being all funny, and they get, they hug, and they're like, oh yeah, I hardly recognized you. You look so handsome dressed this way. And it's like, oh yeah, I heard you survived a brush with Hades, blah blah blah. And she's got that immediate crush, and he shakes her hand, and she's like, what the fuck? Like, at least the eye contact kind of makes sense. Like, you have her looking up at him, and then down at her hand. Like, I'll give Rachel a rest there, because she's at least doing some eye language there. You don't see a lot of that in some artwork. I'll give her a pass there, because, people are going to get on my ass and be like, oh, you're being so mean. There's your positive for the day. Are you happy? Thank goodness. Okay, good. Okay, and again, we don't feel like we're in a car. Just look at the details, okay, guys? Hell, the freaking wheel doesn't even look like that big. Like, that should be a little bit broader, and it's blending into the front of the car, and now it just looks like it's I don't know. I have no clue. Make it a little bit broader. And I'm sure people are going to be like, "But Kate, why are you being so mean? This is like Rachel's like first few chapters. Like, why are you being so mean? It's cruel of you." And it's like dude, I'm just giving out my thoughts as I continue. When I first read this years ago, when it first came out, I probably thought this was pretty good. Now looking back, I find that some of this, shading, the details, the backgrounds are lazy as fuck. So of course, I'm not gonna have the same opinion I have a couple of years ago. So yeah, there's that. Okay. Boy, Hades has this amazing house, and it's like, yeah, I've seen it from the outside, and he has all these books and all these dogs, and he gave me this beautiful fur coat, and just like notice how like I will give Rachel some credit to just like being like, oh yeah, you're actually showing expressions with these characters, like Apollo being like, okay, okay, bitch, I get it. I fucking get it. That's kind of like me right now. It's like whatever, and then being like, okay, he was only being nice to get in your pants, and Apollo's right there. Apollo's right, and is it just me, or does it feel awkward? Like, again, let's look at the eyebrows a little bit. Like, she's just like being like, oh guys, like guys, do you want to hang out with me? Like, it's kind of the annoying bitch face you don't want to deal with. It's like, they're kind of getting it. But to me, it kind of looks pathetic. I'm sorry if that seems mean, but it just kind of looks pathetic. It's just, it's pathetic. And, guys laughing, and it's just like, that's not true. He's my friend. Oh, come on, man. She just had a good time. Leave it. Just leave it. And it's like, no, I'm being realistic. Which, and they're like, oh, but she's just a kid. And here's one of the elements of what I dislike about this comic in general, is that in a lot of ways, some of these god characters do treat Persephone as a child, and they're not wrong there. It's like whenever people are like, oh, stop talking about me, like, I'm not here, and yeah, we're here, you guys can stop now. And it's like, okay, blah blah blah. And like the way that she acts, and I get that she's 19, some of us are still, in that stages. We're still transitioning from teenagers to adults, and we can still kind of be immature, but it just really feels off with the body language and such to me. That's one thing I really noticed with Persephone's character, is that she acts really immature. And again, it's not a bad thing to have an immature adult, but the way that, some people, like, they treat her like a kid, and then Hades treats her like a kid. There is so much to talk about that. I will probably, I probably have posted about this video, already, or I probably haven't. I'm not too sure, but hey, what do I know? It's not that bad. Anyways, we're still going through episode 21, and we're 14 minutes in. Goody gumdrops. And, Apollo's offering to help her with that, and she's like, no thanks. And I gotta really ask is, if the butt shot is really necessary in this. I get that, some details can be see-through, but it's did she literally wear a see-through dress? There's some there's something wrong with that for me. It's just like, well, why are some characters got like blocky, like, thick, non see through areas, but like, with Persephone, it's kind of awkward seeing the extra line artwork, and I get it. Oh, it's probably like, a mistake Rachel forgot to erase, but it's also like, why did she do it? And again, perspective shot of Persephone just like walking away, blah blah blah. Anyways, we shall continue on to the next page. Because I gotta at least try and do like. Oh gosh. It would be a little better if the kitchen wasn't as pink as Persephone. Like, that's the one thing that really annoys me. Like, I know I keep bringing this up through video, to video to video, but if you're choosing to have a character of a specific rainbow color, and then you make the background the same color, you get either got to add some depth into that scene, and choose a different shade, which it's just as pink as her to some extent, but it's also not giving us any depth. It's just a bunch of lines that just really don't work well. Did Rachel have enough time to shade all this? It's just like, it can be a lazy shade too, because there have been cases where, you can actually do a quick, swift shade, and, it just, you either get somebody who does the shading for you, which wouldn't be a bad deal, considering all you need to use is, like, okay, here's a trick for artists that maybe a lot of people already know, but basically you take a shade of blue or purple for, like, a normal colored scene, or like a normal colored human drawing, or whatever, like your choice of character portrait, and you start adding some depth. It's kind of like where are the shadows, where's like some of the details that you need to get with that depth. It's kind of like painting, you're watercoloring, like watercolor painting, and you're like adding different, like, like you kind of have to do a paint kind of like thickness. Like, you got to apply more if it's darker, or you got to like, it's kind of like watercolor, okay? Add more to make it darker, add less if you don't need it darker, and you put multiply if you're doing it digitally. It's like, it's really different for a bunch of versions of shading, because digitally you can just take a shade of blue or purple and multiply it, and I'm sure there's different colors you can use that give different effects. You multiply it, and then you like choose the percentage of the layer and choose whatever whatever works for that shading for your you know for your scene or character look. And it is different for like Copic markers. It's watercolor, you basically use multiple, like you go over the area a couple of more times to add some depth or darkness to the scene. And with Copics, it's a lot more simpler to some degree. Like, you choose a darker shade, but here's like, I kind of been using like cool grays or like warm grays for some characters. It's like, it's a game changer, okay? Anyways, let's continue, go on, and like, it just like immediately fades away when they're just like having their moment. It's like, what the hell? We were just in the kitchen and now we're kind of being brought back in. And it's not bad to have those scenes, but it, in a lot of ways, there's just like what are we gonna do? Like, there's just so much going on. Again, lazy line arts. And then, of course, Apollo being like, what kind of outfit is that? I can see your damn belly button. Maybe you should cover up. Okay. Of course, she cuts herself. And of course, we get information. The blood of gods is called Eka and is golden color. Blah, blah, blah. First aid kit. And it feels like there is a dramatic change with, like, whenever we... Like, I don't know. It just... The shade of purple is always annoying to me. It's inconsistent. It's like, Rachel, can you please just stick to one color of, the palette? There's only some necessary changes you can do with, making it a different purple if it's, or a different shade of a specific color of the character if it's in a different, like, mood or scenery. That's the only time you can really get away with it. But in this, it's just like, it's so stupid. Like, you could play take a shot for every time the color of a character changes, and you'd be dead at the end of, like, a couple of episodes. I guarantee it. And it's just like, they're like, okay, and it's just like, don't go in my room. And she's like, that's just, you have to deal with it, Persephone. And he's like, okay. And she's like, what are you doing? It's no good if you get cold. And it's just like, oh, okay. It's, I don't know, some of the style changes, like look at this. There's a little bit more depth in this. Like, look at the pencil, like, layers, and then we get back to the normal. It just feels very awkward, and I kind of like this. See, guys, I can be positive when I want to be with some of these elements of Rachel's drawings, but I feel like, again, if she just took her time with some of these, and I get that this is, weekly, like, week by week thing, there's going to be obvious, things she's not going to be able to see and get rid of or fix, all those sweet things, and it's just kind of annoying to me. Again, this would probably be a good time, like, for this scene to actually make use of the background changing with the tone that Apollo's giving, because it's like he's trying to make it, definitely seem that there's, like, he could have kept you in the underworld forever if he wanted to, being all, like, depressed and sad. Why not just do that with the scene? And I know, of course, people are going to be like, but Dazzling Kate, blah, 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 blah. Why don't you just take a hint, blah, 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 first few episodes. It's obvious not going to, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to be like, well, I know, guys. And, of course, there could be some ways to show, like, Persephone's uncomfortability in this situation. Like, perhaps making the scene darker or make it different to her. Like, I don't know. It's just, there's endless possibilities that somebody could do with this to kind of show the uncomfortable feeling Persephone has with this, just as the fog kind of comes in, but it's no longer around. I kind of would love to see if Rachel could have just done something like that for the scene. Like, Apollo's coming off as, like, a knight in shining armor, but then with Persephone's perspective, we just see more of a dark aura coming off of him, and just she just doesn't want that. Like, maybe that's just me going way into the idea of usage of light and darkness in the scene, but it could really work in this case. And yeah. And then it's just like the inconsistencies of the head. Like, does anyone just realize how, like, look at this. Here's it normal, and then the head just kind of increases, like Persephone's head, and as well as Apollo's in a way. It's just, it feels a little bit weird that way. Maybe Rachel was in a rush, but it just feels very, very awkward. I can't really say it's the best image in this. It's the best way to kind of show the perspective of that scene. But okay, I get it. Weekly changes, weekly episodes, blah, blah, blah. Let's go on to the next and final episode of this video to kind of just wrap things up. Oh, yeah. Hey, kids, I hope I'm not interrupting, and we do get more of a perspective shot here. I would have, again, really would have loved for some shading here and there, but hey, yeah, whatever. And, Hermes being like, blink twice if you're in trouble. And, like, again, the shades, this is, like, super, I don't know what to call this shade of purple. Like, he's not even purple anymore, he's blue. And, like, a deep blue color, more so than a purple color. I mean, I guess he's technically still purple, like a midnight blue purple color. I feel fortunate I'm not taking shots. Um, oh god. Look at how stupid this one image is. Like, he looks like he's drunk. Like, no, it just looks like he fell off a car and got brain damage. Oh god. This is too much. Look at that. It's just like, you could insert the most stupidest voice, and this image would be perfect for it. Like, look at it, guys. This is gonna be the image of this video. This is gonna be the image. It's perfect. It matches his personality. It matches the whole aesthetic of the series. Like, let's be real. It matches that aesthetic. But okay. What the frick? And then it's just like, take our picture. Like, what the fuck? This is the most awkward moment to me. Like, okay. And Hermes is just like, you know what? She's just like, oh, like a little bit awkward here. And he's just like, he looks like a kid who just got a new fucking puppy or some shit. And he's just like I love my new puppy so much. And he's gonna squeeze the thing to death. It's like, what the fuck? Ugh. Ugh. So awkward. Ugh. And then, of course, the details in the board game can't be seen. It's just like, when you're trying to use the fade in kind of thing, maybe just do the fade in and just do that. Okay. To be treated like a child. Well, of course, she's gonna be treated like a child for the rest of the frickin' series. And then we continue. And of course, you know, this leads to the that episode. But anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoyed my little critique of the rereading these first few episodes. We managed to get through, 3 episodes, which is good. Real good. Well, let's see. Yeah, we're episode 23. So we managed to get through that, and so far, so great. So anyways, if you guys could, for those who haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to the channel, and those who are subscribed, please check out my memberships. My guarantee for the next this new year is to make sure after 10 memberships to start uploading videos a little earlier so you guys can take a look at them. And that's a guarantee for memberships, is that you will get access to new content immediately immediately when the content's uploaded, and a members only streams, as well as for streams specifically drawing streams, you are guaranteed a request for free for your membership. That is what you will get for drawing streams. Anyways, guys, stay safe, stay cool, and most importantly, guys, stay hydrated. This is Dazzling Kate, signing the hell out of here.